we now welcome you on to another episode of Off the Hardwood. It has been 16 days since we were last on the mic, but we are back. We're ready to go. It's Friday. Vibes are in the air. We have a very, very special guest on the show today. We now welcome on South Bay Lakers, GLeague affiliate of the Los Angeles Lakers, assistant coach, and former Northern Colorado point guard, Sean Nolen. Sean, how we doing, man?
Man, I'm living the dream. No complaints on my side. Just happy to be here with you guys.
Sir, yeah, man, this is good to have you on. I think this is interesting because kind of allows people to see, another side of professional basketball, which they don't necessarily see a whole lot in, G League basketball. So this will be really good. So I guess kind of the best place to start is for our listeners who are unfamiliar kind of with how, the G League system works and all that, kind of go through. Describe your job, obviously an assistant coach, but kind of some of the roles and duties that go along with that, aside from just coaching the team.
All right. Yeah, no, for sure. As you guys know, assistant coach of South Bay, our coach Kobe was, first of all, I think at every level, big on player relationships. So, I know they're pros and anywhere we had guys anywhere from, I think Taylor Horton Tucker was 19 to a guy named Andre Ingram. I think a lot of people have heard of it. I think he's 35. So just a huge, you got a little kid and then, you got a, man who has 3 kids in a family. So it's, the relationships part's kind of different, so that was big in like the culture that we had. I know people think maybe pros is just you're with the guys on the court, then you're gone. But no, big relationships. We go out to have dinner together. What else would we do, man? We did games. We'd go to, Top Golf, a bunch of different stuff with our player relationships on our staff. I also did, a lot of the scouting. We would rotate between the 3 other coaches who had the scout, offensive, defensive scout, and kind of personnel, which was fun, man. That was a great time. I think as a coach, you think you can have a little bit of influence and try to give your players the best edge they can to get a victory. What else do we do? We did a lot of the scouting also for our team. So we got to kind of do like a front office side of basketball, trying to see develop the team that we had want on the floor that we thought was successful. Man, there's so many just little ancillary duties you have to do. Those are the ones kind of off the top of my head. We'd run different sides of practice. Coach would have us do. He really had us autonomous coaching style where we got to do kind of what we needed to do offensively and defensively, and he oversaw it. So just so many duties, man. I can't even think any more off the top of my head. So
for sure. So like Sam said, you were a point guard at Northern Colorado. Talk to us a little bit about your playing career at UNC.
I'll jump in real fast for the fan. All-time assist leader. Is that all-time assist leader at UNC?
Are you talking about for game season or career?
Season. Isn't it season?
I have no clue anymore.
Oh, we'll make that official statement right here. We'll make that official so you don't have to.
Official season career assist leader at University of Northern Colorado.
There you go. No, 25 years. No, a long time ago. No, just thinking about my time at UNC. No, I loved it, man. I had a great time. Probably, I was lucky enough to play all my years up there, and I guess out of anything, I was a point guard, so I love passing the ball. I wasn't a big scorer. I just wanted to get other guys involved. I thought, as a point guard, I think both you guys are point guards and love to get everybody involved. I told Sam the other day, what makes great players is people love playing with those guys. You know what I mean? Right. I love playing with Sam Madison. I love playing with Tyson, that's the ultimate compliment as a basketball player to me is, you love playing with somebody because they're unselfish and you make great players make everybody else better around them. So my career was like that. UNC, I went to a prep school out of high school. I went to Overland High School. Then I went to a prep school back east, came back to UNC. What's that?
I said O-Town.
O-Town, exactly. So came back. And, UNC was in the transition from D2 to D1. So it it was crazy, man. Like we, my senior year, I think we played the fourth toughest schedule in the whole country.
Oh wow.
You know, we played, I think like 12 or 13, like top 20 teams in the country, all on the road. I think we opened up at the Coaches versus Cancer against Syracuse. I believe it was the year after they won the national championship at the Carrier Dome. So it was such a good experience. And, you know, we got our butts kicked pretty good a couple of different times, but made some money for the school and, you know, but yeah, just, I mean, I don't even know where else to touch on it. I loved my time at UNC and playing up there.
No, absolutely, man.
Yeah,
we're always Bears. We're always Bears here. Okay. So now let's get in. So obviously as a G League coach, like guys in the G League, I wouldn't say their main objective, and probably their biggest goal is to eventually move up and get called up to the NBA. So as a coach, like how do you kind of balance the whole thing between guys' egos and wanting to get called up to play in the NBA versus still trying to get them to buy into the team's success and the team's culture and that sort of thing?
Yeah, great question. That is really tough, you know, and that goes for the coaches as well. I mean, you know, all the coaches want to be in the NBA as well, you know, because I've talked to a bunch of players like, man, coach, it's hard. Like, I want to be in the NBA, and I look at them like, me too, you know. So, a big thing is just kind of being where your feet are, man. Alex Caruso was great with that. He's like, I just got, you know, he was our two-way, and I think it's really hard, you know. I mean, there's worse things in life, okay, than being a two-way basketball player, making good money. But, you know, he's up at playing at Staples Center in front of 21,000 people one night, you know, on TNT. And then the next night he had to come down and play with us with, you know, on our UCLA Health Center for, you know, 600 people in the game. You know, it's just, it's a rocky road, man. And, but, you know, going back to that question, Sam, is like, you know, all those guys' dreams are to be NBA players. You know what I mean? I think, you know, you guys are still playing. Everybody's dreams to play professional basketball, I think, you know, at one point. Right. And trying to manage it, it's tough, man, because you got to, you know, in pro basketball, I've learned, like, you have to deal with, you know, those guys. You have their agents, their family, their, you know, entourage or set of people in their ears like, hey, man, you got to score 28 points a game. We got to get you to the league. We got to get you to the league. You got to do this. And, you know, I've been fortunate at South Bay. I think we've always had really good, like, players that have listened to us coaches. You know, the NBA isn't looking for guys to score 28 points a game. They already have those guys, you know? And I think that's the hardest part to get to guys is like, do one thing and do one thing absolutely better than anybody else. And I think that's how you can accomplish your dreams. Now you get up there and then you can start kind of adding, you know, levels to that once you get there. But to crack that, they're looking for one guy. Hey, can you shoot the corner three and can you lock down on defense? Can you know, are you an unbelievable rebounder? You know, we had a kid named Jamario Jones, played at New Mexico State, man. He's 6'3", 6'4", and led the country in rebounding, like 15 rebounds a game. And he was unbelievable for us. He got a 10-day call up by the Lakers at the end of the season. And, you know, it's on that cusp, but it's crazy, man, seeing guys like live their dream too. Like, you know, I think we've had like 8 or 9 guys get call-ups to the NBA, and just, you know, you're just living out your childhood dream, man, and just trying to help these dudes. But, you know, there's different factors with, like I said, agents and other people in their ear that they got to maintain. You know, we had a kid that, you know, play at North Carolina, Joel Berry, who is awesome, you know, and he talked to me, coach, play in front of 20,000 people at the Dean Dome, and we're on ESPN every night. And then, you know, we go play the G League, and it's a grind, and, you know, you're flying commercial, you're on little buses, and you're playing in front of 1,000 people. So it's just the roller coaster of emotions of how you even play is just, you know, much respect to those guys, because it's hard. It's not easy.
So shortly after being hired as the head coach at Colorado Academy here in Colorado, an opportunity came up, like we're talking about, for the South Bay Lakers. Can you touch a little bit about how that opportunity came about?
Yeah. So like you said, I took the job at, I was an assistant coach with them for a couple of years because I coached some of those kids when they were younger. They gave me the head job, and within 2 months, I got offered the job out in South Bay. And, you know, the reason I got that job is when, you know, after I graduated, you know, I was trying to play overseas. So during the summer, the Denver Nuggets at Pepsi Center would always have guys, the NBA guys, about 5 be around in town, 5 or 6 guys, and they always need like some overseas pros or guys that just graduated, or even some college guys that would come out and, you know, play pickup so they could have, you know, they could run 5-on-5. So George Karl's son Kobe at the time was playing in the NBA, and then he was overseas in Spain, and so he'd come back. You know, obviously George is here in Denver. He'd come back and play, and so we kind of formed a, I wouldn't say like necessarily a friendship then, but just like we knew who each other were, and you know we're cool with each other and everything. And but as both you guys know, an assistant coach who would let us come up and do that was a guy named John Welch.
Right.
And John kind of ran the workouts and the playing 5-on-5. And so John and I have formed a relationship. I coached his son Riley, who's now at Kentucky, for probably the last 10 years. And John's been super influential in my life. So he was out with the Clippers when Kobe was head coach at South Bay, and Kobe was living with him at the time. And Kobe said that he was looking for assistant coach. So John texted me. He's like, "Hey, Sean, do you have any interest in being a G League coach?" And I was like, "Yeah, I would. You know, I think that'd be interesting." So he told Kobe about me, and like I said, Kobe knew who I was. You know, we weren't like tight or anything, but we knew of each other. And Kobe had me fly out to the Lakers facility, and you know, I helped coach. We went out to dinner and some breakfasts just to get to know each other, and kind of kicked it off. And I'm as close as that with that guy as anybody else now. So that's kind of how it facilitated. Just, you know, luck, kind of being at the right place, the right time, decent job at what you do. And just kind of like everything in life, it just something, you know, pops up.
Yeah.
Fortunate.
Yeah, for sure.
All about networking.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. You say that. Just you never know when you meet somebody, you never know when an opportunity from them will come back up. So that's really
sure.
Cool.
For
sure. That's awesome. All right, Coach, I'm going to throw a hypothetical at you, all right? So envision this in your head. So me and Tyson are in the G League. So I'll play for South Bay. Tyson will play for the Grand Rapids Gold. That's a new Nuggets team. People don't know about it. New Nuggets G League team. New Nuggets G League team. Like, obviously, you have a relationship with the NBA staff and those coaches. Like, what is the biggest thing that you would tell us in terms of how – like what they're looking for in guys in order to call them up? Like, cause I feel like everybody's situation is different, but like, what do NBA teams kind of need to call guys up? It's kind of like what you said, there's not, you know, they don't need a guy to come in and score 30 a game because they got, you know, the KDs, the Dame Lillards of the world. So what do you tell guys that are looking to advance up? Like, hey, if you want to make it, here's what you got to do.
Man, like, you know, talking to the Lakers staff, even this year, you know, they've been so good. Like JK, all those guys were great, man. But they say biggest thing, shooting. Like they'll go to the G League guys, you know, and they'll be like, look, first thing, 3-point shooting percentage. Cause it's just, you know, the NBA game. I don't know how it is in college. I haven't, you know, I've been out of it since I played, and like, you know, being in professional basketball, you don't get to see as much college basketball anymore, but all the, you know, the NBA is about space, you know, and being able to space the floor, being pick and roll. If there's help, you know, get the guys to kick, play penetration kick, and being able to knock down shots. That's why it's just so hard if you don't have guys who can shoot on the floor, you know? So if I could say one skill is just shooting. If you can shoot the absolute, you know, pee out of the ball, like you'll be able to play. And then just, you know, you got to find out what you're good at, you know, like Sam, you know, I've seen you play, you're a great defender, you know, like, hey, maybe you got to you're the second or third string point guard. You got to pick up 94 feet and make life hell on the backup point guard. You know, you just kind of got to find your niche and just absolutely be amazing at that role. You just got to excel at your role. So, but if I did have to say that, like, any guys who are in college or high school ever listening to this and they have aspirations to play pro basketball, is like, just become an unbelievable shooter.
Mm-hmm. No, definitely. I think that's really good. Especially just how the game's developed and that kind of a thing. I guess the other question too on top of that is like, what, in terms of like guys that can score, say a guy's like a really good scorer, you know, and he's putting up 25, 30 plus in the G League. I don't know a certain guy that comes to mind, but you know, how does that also, you know, catch an NBA scout's eye if a guy's just, you know, killing it and scoring at that level?
Yeah. You know, I don't want to say like, hey, they're not looking for him, but if they see a guy that is doing, I mean, it's gonna put a blip on their radar for sure. So,
Yeah.
but I guess is how you're scoring.
Mhm.
The NBA is all about right now, kind of. I know you see in the playoffs mid range, which is I'm okay with mid range. Just the points per possession. People are not big on it unless you're basically a superstar. So it depends how you're getting those and how they translate. Because even from the G League and the G League guys, I'd say probably 70% of those guys have been former NBA players. In the NBA this year, I think 52% have been former G League players. So it's such high level basketball that people don't know. If you're a guard, can you finish at the rim? That's what people want you to get to the rim. Are you shooting knockdown threes? Is everything off the bounce and shooting mid range? I don't know. Maybe some NBA teams are a little bit different than others. But yeah, like I said, I'm rambling here, but yeah, I think if you do score 25, 28 points a game, people are like, wow, you're scoring 28 points a game in probably a top 5 league in the world. You're doing something right. So
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
So you touched a little bit on Alex Caruso and how he's kind of found his place in the NBA. Who's another guy who you've coached who is kind of found his footing in the league?
Man, well, this year, he didn't play because he tore his, I think it was his ACL. But Thomas Bryant, my first year, he was our assignment guy, and he was with us the whole year. And unbelievable guy, like teammate. Like he was one of the guys that comes down to the G League and was all about the team. Like, I don't know if I should be even saying this, but he was like, man, I'd rather be with you guys enough,
Yeah.
he was playing and he just loved the culture and just was like fully bought in. We were really good. We lost in the conference finals to Austin, courtesy of another Colorado kid, Derek White.
Yeah.
They beat us in the conference
Yeah.
finals. But yeah, Thomas Bryant was good. Ivica Zubac for the Clippers. He's done well. I think they both signed for like 4 years, around 30 million. Alex is he's a free agent this year, so it'll be interesting to see what happens with him. Taylor Horton Tucker, had his ups and downs with us, but man, he's balled out in the last year and a half. Even after us, he went down to the bubble and played, against the Rockets in meaningful minutes in the playoffs, the conference semis, and, did great. So there's been a bunch of guys from our team that have gone up to the NBA and, produced. Gary Payton Jr., got call up for the Wizards and starting at Madison Square Garden after he finished playing with us. 2 nights later, he got called up and was at MSG, and I think he had a double-double. So. So there's been so many guys, and so many guys that are also like so close to be there. They just need the chance.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, it's funny. All those guys, I remember all those guys. They were big names in college, but that kind of touches into my next question, which is just the whole idea of playing in the G League versus playing in Europe, and how, I'm not even necessarily saying you convince certain guys to come do that, but what factors into that decision for guys, whether it be, money or a better chance to advance up in their careers? Because a lot of guys that, come to the G League or play in Europe are, huge names in college and guys that just couldn't really find a niche in the NBA. So what's kind of the deciding factor for those guys in terms of where they want to go play?
Man, I think a lot of it is just, your childhood dream is NBA, right?
Right.
So that's just so alluring to so many people. But I think if you're young, I think, we've had a couple Colorado kids that, that tried the G League route. I know Josh Perkins, even talking to him, he did the G League route for a year just to see if, he could pop maybe on an NBA team. And I think now he's playing overseas, but, I think if you're young coming out, why not do the G League? Now there's 3 levels of contracts. There's a 2-way contract, which the guys can make pretty darn good money, upwards of, I think, 400,000. And then they have exhibit 10s, which is an extra, I think it's 35 base and then an extra 50,000. And they go to training camp with the NBA team. So they make 85,000 for 5 months. And then the regular G League standard contracts, maybe your bottom 4 or 5 players that make 35,000. So it goes 35, 85 to upwards to about 400,000. If you're an exhibit 10 guy and you're coming out of college and you're making 85K for 5 months and seeing to try to see if you can try to get on an NBA roster or put some good game film together for an NBA team for the next year, I'd say do it. Now, as you get older and older and older, it's probably a little bit tougher. But everybody's NBA dream, man. That's the it's all of us. That's the hard part to get over. But as you get older, I'd say try to make as much money as you can and go play overseas. However much they're paying now.
Right. Yeah. No, definitely.
So it's a fine line. But you can make money playing basketball. That's all of our dreams at one point.
Yeah,
definitely.
No, absolutely.
Definitely. So in your opinion, what's the biggest misconception about the G League?
Man, great question, man. I think there's a lot of misconceptions. Even myself, when I went there, I was like, okay, it's G League, man, the players there are unbelievable. I think my last year there, 12 of our 13 players played in the NBA at one point.
Man.
And yeah. And then, you're going, it's amazing. Even the guys we're playing against, I'm like, man, dude, he was playing for the San Antonio Spurs. He was playing for the Suns last year. He's this. Like, it's just amazing the level. I didn't think it was that good. And then I've coached in it, and the shot making ability these guys have is just like, and even the NBA is even higher, but it's just like, wow, you don't realize how good all these guys are. Our introduction, our starting lineup, you're like, that guard from North Carolina, at forward from UCLA, at center from Gonzaga. You're like, geez, man, these guys were all freaking conference All-Americans from all these schools, and they're that far from the NBA. And even the guys we play against, some of them are sent down, like the Derek Whites. Look at him. I think, we played against him how many different times? Anthony Bennett was the number one pick. I know he's struggled in his career, but there's lottery picks in there. He played against Josh Jackson from Kansas, who was the 4th pick in the draft last year. He was at Memphis. And it's just I think that's the biggest misconception. Like, I'll play in the G League, man. It's super, super high level as well. Like, I'd say it's probably top 4 or 5 league in the world. Probably 4.
For sure. And it's crazy just looking at the Bucks, who just won the championship. Dude who is an incredible shot maker, Chris Middleton, was in the G League, or in the D League then, but it's just crazy to think about.
Yep. Yeah, no, like, he had a huge part of winning championship for us personally, for our organization. Alex Caruso was a G League guy, and he was huge last year in the bubble for the Lakers. Arguably, probably top 5 player importance on that team. It's amazing how many G League guys have found a home in the NBA. PJ Tucker this year, he played for the Colorado 14ers.
Yeah.
It's just such a high level. So
definitely no. So this is my last question here, Coach.
I'll get one more.
Yeah, kind of tying into what you were just saying. Like, when you talk about those kind of guys that you just listed, who's been one guy? Maybe not one, a couple guys that you've either coached against, you've coached them, or you've seen them on film in the G League, where you watch them and you're like, man, like, how this guy is not in the NBA is just beyond me. I'm going to throw you on the spot there.
Here, repeat the question so I can have more time to think about it.
Yeah. So, yeah, like, just a guy that you've like watched on film or you've coached against and you've seen him in person, and you walk away from that game or that film session and you're just like, dude, the fact that guy is not in the NBA is just beside me. Or the fact that he's currently not in the NBA is unbelievable.
Wow, great question. One of the guys was a dude. Now he plays for the Miami Heat. Kendrick Nunn. We played against him. He was in the Golden State Warriors G League team. They're called Santa Cruz Warriors.
Mm-hmm.
We played against him, and man, that kid, he was a dog. Like, he picked up 94 feet and would give you 25 to 30 points a night, and just tough. Didn't talk. He was from Chicago. Didn't talk trash. Actually, just played hard as hell. And I was like, man, I was trying to figure out a way, like, dude, we need it. How is this guy not a 2-way, And,
yeah, right.
But so that was one guy. I was just like, he's an NBA player for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Another point, trying to think, like, there's some good names that I didn't think that highly of at the time, but Duncan Robinson was one, but we played really well actually against Duncan Robinson, but he's had a great NBA team. Another team, a guy at the time was Georges Niang. Do you remember Georges Niang?
Oh yeah.
Plays for the Jazz.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was on a G League contract too, and we played against him. And he tore us up. I was like, "Holy cow, dude! This kid's unbelievable." Jeremy Pargo was. I was like, this dude could still play in the NBA, even though I know he is a little bit older. Wow, dude's still super explosive and can go off anytime. Just he's like a little bull. There's so many guys, Sam. It's so hard to think of. Like I feel like bad like leaving guys out, but there's so many guys. I don't know how to explain it.
No, that's great. And Nunn, like you said, Nunn was like or all rookie team of his first year. He was 100%. Right there with Hero.
Yeah,
totally.
Wasn't he like even like top 5 in like rookie of the year voting?
Yeah, he was right up there.
He was.
Yeah, it was him and Hero, and he was undrafted.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, for sure. So
cool. Well, thanks, Coach. I really appreciate you coming on, man. This was awesome for us. This was a really cool conversation. Well, I'm sure we'll see you in the gym here soon.
For sure.
Yeah, for sure, man. Thanks for having me. This is a quick combo, bro. I thought we were gonna keep it rolling, man.
Nah, man, we got you got places to be.
No, I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much, man.
Thanks for coming on.
All right, Coach. Sounds good, man. We'll talk soon.
Yep.
All right, see you guys.
All right.